Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. How do you chamber a Stratocaster? I don't know, so we're gonna find out today. This is the Wayne Shepherd signature Stratocaster, and if you want to know why it's already been unboxed, it's because I accidentally unboxed this guitar when I did that PRS episode. So I've only briefly seen this thing. But when Fender announced Wayne Shepherd's new signature guitar, I got really excited because there's so many strange, unique specs. But just in case you don't know who Wayne Shepherd is, it's okay, you don't have to know everybody in the music industry. He's within the Wayne Shepherd band. He also plays in the supergroup The Rides, but his #1 most popular song that, came to my mind anyways, is Blue on Black. So if you've heard that, you've heard this guy. But I just really want to focus on this really sweet signature Stratocaster he made. In my eyes, it's like the continuation of the Magico Telecasters from the Parallel Universe Volume 2 series, because this thing is just as beautiful as those, without the flame maple though. So inside here, oh man, even the second time opening this case, I love what they've done. We get this red crushed velvet-like interior with this light sonic blue faded finish, but get this. You can actually see the wood grain through that. That is fantastic. Let me get you a nice close-up here. Maybe now you guys can see it a little bit better. And then they match it with the whole pearloid pick guard, so that's kind of where I'm getting those Magico vibes from. But then we kind of get slightly Jazzmaster-esque neck on this thing because we have binding on a Stratocaster, which is not something you normally find, but that white binding matched with that tinted neck, it really kind of works with the whole design that they've got going on here. But besides the binding, what else makes this thing special? Take a look at your 12th fret inlay. I love it. It's like a split parallelogram. It reminds me of many Gibson offerings, but I think they put that on there, just to have something a little bit different. And you get the matching headstock cap, you get his signature on the ball end of the headstock. This is a really attractive Stratocaster to me. I'm happy I was able to get this one for a review and demo, because there's just so much to talk about this one. But I think the #1 thing here is, wow, I even did get a flamed maple neck. It's not a crazy one, and I don't think that's a stock spec. I just kind of got lucky with this one. But how do they chamber a Stratocaster body? I had to buy this to find out, because this was the first time I ever heard of Fender doing any type of chambering. The final Parallel Universe Volume 2 series guitar, the Firebird, that was the first one I reviewed that had any of that going on, but this was supposed to come out first. So, kind of a cool guitar. First impressions here. If you like all glossy finishes like I do, you're going to enjoy this guitar because everything is gloss on this thing. Down from the very lightweight body to the neck. I mean, this is one slick looking guitar. It's not ridiculously lightweight though. I was kind of scared about that. Is it just going to be a really neck heavy Stratocaster? It feels about normal, but maybe a little bit more weight in the neck. I think what Kenny was going for was just something a little bit more comfortable to play all night long. As far as case candy, we just get our regular hang tags here, but is there anything in the compartment? No, it just looks like your basic stuff. Certificate of authenticity, trem bar, but nothing fancy. So we'll have to put this one to the test. Let's go ahead, throw it on the workbench, and take an individual look at its parts and specs. Let's take a look inside the chambered Wayne signature Stratocaster. Now keep in mind, these are $2,199 at the store. Let's see if it's worth it. So underneath the hood, what's going on here? Well, it is routed for 2 humbuckers and a single coil. So if you just like the look of this guitar, but you don't necessarily like the pickups that he has in it, you do have options for modifying it. Take a look at our barcodes. They just say KWS for Wayne Shepherd, Strat. Nothing too fancy going on here, but you can see the ash body wood grain underneath here. The truss rod for the neck is adjustable right here. And at first I was a little bit let down. I thought we would see, some chambering action here, but whoa, what is going on over here? Yeah, that's where the chambering starts. You just got all your body woods routed out here. We'll take a look at that under the endoscope. All right, going in here, let's see just how far chambered this really goes.
So this is going all the way up the Stratocaster horn, so they really do chamber everything out as possible as far as that goes. And now we go in towards the output jack. So there we can see the jack itself, and see right there where it blocks off to the other side. So to recap here, this is all chambered out, and this is all chambered out. It sounds like it might be chambered over here too. So how are they chambering out these Stratocasters? My best guess, looking at the evidence inside the guitar, that is a glue seam. So they must slice off the back and chamber it out, and then cap it or something like that. And then they just hide the seam line using the finish. But that is certainly interesting to see. First time I've saw that on a Strat. But as far as our pickups here, these are custom KWS single coil Stratocaster pickups. They're just specially voiced for Kenny himself. And you can see, once again, his name on that barcode right there. But the electronics, kind of interesting. Never seen a giant blue capacitor in a Fender before. It's possible they used it before. I didn't see any type of mentioning in it in the specs, so maybe it's special, maybe it's not. I don't see any type of readings on it anywhere, except for 104-1W. But these appear to be 250K pots. And the output jack, it's just your standard style, except for now instead of having a cavity route into this area, it's just completely chambered out under there. Here's what the outside looks like. A nice Moto pickguard, mother of toilet seat, peralloid, whatever you want to call it. But the knobs have a nice golden hue to the letters, as well as the numbers. As far as pickup readings, 6.48 in the bridge. Middle position, 7.35. Neck, 5.86. Wow, those are all significantly different. Then the combinations, 3.3-ish and 3.48. Sounds like we're going to have some interesting tonal capabilities here. No fancy S1 switches or anything like that. I'm kind of surprised he didn't do something like that, to be honest. Just basic Stratocaster as far as that goes. And you get the 6 individual saddles here. And don't forget, this is actually an ash body, and Fender's kind of cut down on what they use ash for. So that's also a spec that makes this thing a little bit different and special. On top of it being an ash body, everywhere on this guitar is a nitro finish. That is another premium feature on a Fender. But moving on to our neck here. Here we can see the binding all along the fretboard. It's a very stark white color. It stands out a lot. You also get the peralloid block inlays. The only thing that would have made me love this thing even more is if they would have went with real mother of pearl. This 12th fret inlay, it might not seem like much for most people, but I really like it. It just makes you go, huh, there's something really different about that Stratocaster. Speaking of differences, this has 21 jumbo frets, so if you like big frets, you're gonna like this. However, it's got the vintage 7¼ inch radius, so if you don't like the rounded necks, you might not like this. But it does feature a bone nut that measures 1.65 inches. And the neck increases to 2.03 by the 12th. First fret neck depth, 0.81, and that increases to 0.98 by the 12th. It's advertised as a 60 C-shaped neck profile. Something interesting I noticed is the bone nut is slightly yellowed, which I would kind of expect, but it really stands out against that stark white binding, so I guess I could see somebody being like, I don't like that, but you know, that's just how it is. And then the headstock. It's a painted headstock cap. Once again, the truss rod adjusting is down here. That kind of freed this up to make it look nicer. Single string tree, just says Fender Stratocaster, and again, you get his signature on the ball end, and it's the vintage style tuners. Poke it down, wrap it around. But we can still see the tremolo system in here. It's that version that's kind of sloped again, but a magnet does stick to it this time. But again, you cannot see through to the other chambered out cavity. So as far as the back goes, it's just a regular Stratocaster for the most part. You get a little cutaway right there as normal, and you can see the beautiful ash wood grain underneath the beautiful blue finish. The serial number is located on the neck plate, V2094970 on this one. And nothing too fancy going on along the sides, it's just a regular Stratocaster. But yet, it feels pretty good. Like, many Fenders get that satin neck, and I get a lot of comments saying, why do you hate satin necks so much? Do you not play out? Well, it really comes down to not all satin finishes are created the same. When a satin finish is done right on the neck, I actually do prefer that, but there's something that can be said about a nice gloss neck that's not overly sticky. But check out the lucky wood grain flame I got on this one. It's not like super wide or anything, but it definitely comes to life. That is not a stock spec. Not all of them will have this. I just kind of lucked out on this one. But it is a quarter sawn maple neck. And you'll notice, no skunk stripe down here either because, well, you got the rosewood fretboard on top. so they don't need to do that, but sometimes they still do anyways. But there's our vintage style tuners here. So overall, really cool guitar. I'm happy that I decided to check this one out. I'm a little bit late on it. It just took a while to come back in stock. As far as QC stuff goes, I saw a few like little dings and dents underneath the pickguard area. You can't fault them too much because, you know, it's underneath the pickguard. But I did see right over here, there's like a very small scratch. So that might catch your eye. And there was like a very small tooling mark or something right there in between those, kind of like a scratch. Then you've got whatever this stuff is underneath the trem plate cover. But at least you can cover it up and not worry about it. All said and done, this weighs 6 pounds 11 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. Let's go ahead and run through these tones here. First off, just having this on a strap. It's nice and balanced. It just kind of wants to sit where it normally wants to be. So you've got all the lightweight benefits without any of the negative. As far as the strap I'm using in this particular example, it will vary example to example. Maybe try one out, but I'm not noticing any neck diving issues. So we'll start with our neck pickup and see how it goes from there. Now we'll try just the middle position. Now I'll switch over to the bridge. Now we'll go for our in-between positions. This is a really bright sounding Strat. You might need to dial your amp settings a little bit differently than I have mine. Can't say it's my favorite sounding Stratocaster yet, but I like the way it feels. Let's just compare them all with the same riff now. I like this position, very glassy. Now let's go ahead and try some distortion. has some great lead tones in it. It's not like most Stratocasters. I don't know if it comes down to the pickups or the chambered body. I'll leave that up to you guys. Now that we know all about the Wayne Shepherd signature Stratocaster, what are my final thoughts on this thing? I really enjoyed this guitar. I would suggest you go out and try one for yourself. It's a little bit different than regular Stratocasters, but at the same time, it's still within the same ballpark range. Should it be your only Strat in your collection? Maybe not. Maybe this one's a little bit too flashy, has a little bit of a different tone, but at the same time, I think you could get away with it as well. It's definitely a unique instrument. It checks all the boxes for me. It's got a unique body, unique neck, and it looks great, so it's a big win in my book. The clean tones are a bit bright for my personal tastes, so maybe I would experiment with different pickups, but that's just me. They sound pretty good once they're distorted though, so that's kind of a trade-off. It's really comfortable. I like the way it feels. It reminds me of like playing a cloud, which I know that sounds weird to say, but that's exactly what it's like, because you've got the nitro finish on here. It's just all nice and smooth. You just feel like you're being uplifted or something. But definitely try one of these things out if you ever see one in the stores, because they're kind of cool. Thank you, Troglodytes, for tuning into this review and demo. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.